Today, we'll be talking to Ed Cooley. He's an American NCAA basketball coach for Providence College. He's led the Friars to 6 NCAA tournaments. Should have been 7.
Should have been 7 for sure. COVID shut us down.
That 1 year. And recently won the Naismith College Coach of the Year. Our theme recently has been dream big. Mm-hmm. That sounds like the dream, to be the Coach of the Year in the NCAA. Tell me about it.
You know, I pinch myself when I was, you're nominated in your top 30, or
right.
Then it gets to a 15, and then it came to the top 5, and then the top 3. And I'm like, wow. So I used that term when I was in New Orleans with the Naismith Committee upon receiving the award as a team member of the staff, the school, the city, the state of Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm a big dreamer and a big believer, and I do dream big. You know, we do have a phrase in Friartown, us, we, together, family Friars. It's about all of us. It's not about you. It's not about the mirror. It's about inspiring others to be great and dream big.
So what I'd like to talk about first is what are the biggest mistakes that novice coaches make when game planning?
A lot of mistakes I know I've made. You know, I'm going into my 29th year of coaching and my 17th as a head coach. Is you may have a plan in place. Mm-hmm. We're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We're going to do everything we can to secure a recruit. We're going to do everything we can to secure ticket sales and build relationships. What happens when something goes wrong, when you got to go from A to E? Ooh. So what is your pivot plan? How are you executing something when something's failing within a sales pitch, a sales message? So I think many of us leaders have to prepare for failure within the conversation, a possibility to have a commitment from a client, and in my case, a recruit. Best case scenario is yes.
Yes. Responding.
But if you tell me no, how am I getting to yes? So I'm going to learn everything I can prior to me coming and meeting you face to face, or on the telephone, or FaceTime, or Zoom, with all the great technology that's out there today. Before I get to you, I'm going to find out every possible thing I can so you feel comfortable on my hello.
Right.
I'm going to find out who your neighbor is. I'm going to find out what your dog's name is. I'm going to find out, do you have a cat? Who's your favorite sibling, uncle, aunt? I think you have to do so much research.
Sure.
What is the DNA of you? And I want to be aligned with you. What's your DNA where you can help us be great and we can motivate you to win a national championship? You know, and again, you're not going to win every time.
Sure.
Are you going to win enough to grow?
I want to talk about coaching individuals. So a lot of things that we've learned from our customers, right? They buy our software to do sales training and sales coaching. A lot of times they're out there in the field and they actually have to coach individuals. And they're trying to identify their strengths and their weaknesses when they're meeting with customers and prospects, whether that's just pitching or understand the products. So when you get with an individual player, and let's say you've identified a weakness. Let's just take something simple like free throws. So walk us through how you would coach that player to improve as an individual and not necessarily as a team.
The first thing I do because I meet with our players a lot one-on-one, and I introduce myself to them, not as Coach Cooley. I introduce myself to them as Ed. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I'm going to make mistakes. You know, in today's world, I tell them I'm a black man. Everybody's afraid to talk about race.
Sure.
I love talking about race in the workplace
because
I think it makes people uncomfortable.
It definitely does.
I like being uncomfortable because you bring greatness when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I need to know who you are as a person first.
Okay.
I know who you are as a player. I can see it.
Sure.
But who are you?
Oh, interesting.
So when you talk with individuals, you got to go from me to we.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So as a team, everybody is an individual.
Yeah.
Sure. But we got to eventually go from a team to a family, me to we, however you want to phrase that.
Sure.
So when I'm talking to an individual who has a weakness, some you may be able to correct. Can you correct it when it means the most? At the end of the game, can we make free throws to secure a win?
Right.
You may be 1 for 9, but I believe in you. I'm going to instill confidence in you as the leader and tell you, I trust you.
Okay.
I've seen you make things. And I think you talk someone to existence by just instilling confidence in them.
Okay.
In today's world, some people need the pat on the back saying you're going to be okay.
I sure do.
Absolutely. Especially with the young salespeople and the young sales force.
Yeah.
They need reassurance that you believe in them as the leader. There are ways to lead where you inspire, where there's loving, caring, and understanding. I want you to feel disappointed versus upset if you don't do what you're supposed to do.
Makes sense.
You know, I don't want you to be like mad, angry, secondary emotions like, okay, we didn't get that. Why do you think you're failing at not being a great free throw shooter? Let's go watch film.
Okay.
What are you thinking about when you go to the free throw line?
Right.
What's your thought process? Make it before you take it, right?
Yeah.
Before I go and try to execute something, I'm going to have confidence that I'm the best one right now, this minute, living in the moment. You can only be where your feet are. Don't try to be somewhere else other than where you're at.
Right. That makes total sense.
Stay in the moment. Stay in the moment as much as you can. And that's the conversation that I'll have with one of the players one-on-one. And I always like to talk to people who aren't hitting their quota, who aren't hitting the mark, or who aren't having the success, whether it be for the company, for the school. And I would ask them, why do you think you're not spoken of greatness? Why? And you have a conversation with those young men and women. And the common theme with that is fear.
Really?
Yes.
I love it.
Fear. Like, you got to run to the raw. What does that mean? Run to the raw. Everybody runs from the lion when they raw. What they're running into is the lionesses are going to devour you. That is when you run to the roar and you face the challenge and you face that monster.
Right.
Your fear becomes success because you're challenging yourself. When you run from the raw, you're not challenging yourself. You're not challenging your team.
Yeah.
I want to run to the raw. I'm going to face that lion. I'm going to face that lion. And it's going to be me and you, and I'm going to win.
All right. So I want to get down to training and practice, the nuts and bolts of it. So, so what are the characteristics of great coaches when it comes to training?
I think I'm going to call coaches leaders.
Okay.
Whether you're a CEO, CFO, CMO, I think a great trait is how well do you listen? Are you a great listener?
Okay.
And are you listening to help? Are you listening to inspire? Then I think the next training thing that a great leader does is have a plan and a purpose to their constituents, to their customers. I think listening is huge. Really big.
It sounds like someone inspired you growing up about that because you seem passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about, I grew up unorthodox.
Okay.
You know, I had a community raise me. The streets raised me. I wasn't raised in a traditional mom and dad home.
Right.
The lights didn't come on. There was no food in the refrigerator. So a lot of my instincts are on survival. And I'm going to read you before I say hello to you and see if you have an it. What is your it?
Okay.
Great leaders, to me, have an it.
Okay.
I think you're born with it.
You think you're born with it?
I think you're born with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can you learn it? Maybe. You know, in sales, right away, if you're getting ready to hire someone, you're inspired on hello.
That's probably true.
Seriously, you know.
The second they walk in the door.
You know right away that's going to be a great addition.
Right.
When I look to recruit young men and bring them to our family, I look for, do they have it? Do they open doors? Do they say please? Do they say thank you? You know, what's their body language like? What's their eyes like? Are they roaming when you're speaking to them?
Right.
Do they have a firm understanding of why they're there?
Right.
Find their it, and you'll be successful.
You walk us through a typical day, let's say 2 days before your biggest game kind of practice. What are you going to take the team through? Is it start with drills? Does it start with game prep? Just walk us through like a practice.
Oh, great question. So if we're a day or two away from playing one of the top teams in America or one of the top teams in the Big East, I think they're all really good.
Sure.
I start from the end of the game and move backwards. In my business, you got to be good the last 4 minutes of the game. I always tell our players, give us as a staff an opportunity with 4 minutes left to play. Right. Down one or up one possession. If we can do that, our winning percentage is one of the best in America.
So that's like starting practice.
That's starting practice.
Starting with the end.
We're starting with the end.
That.
How are we getting to the end?
Right.
Because the beginning is easy, in my opinion. Let me correct it's not easy. Everything's competitive.
Sure.
Yet the game's going to flow a certain way, especially if you're somewhat even.
Yeah.
If you have even talent. So, and then we say, okay, let's take Kansas as an example.
Okay.
Kansas won the national championship. Sure. We were down double digits at halftime, whatever it was. We had to make an adjustment that we prepared for, but didn't practice a lot.
Okay.
So against Kansas, you couldn't run a lot of quote unquote plays.
Okay.
You had to play. So the adjustment we made at halftime, we go from being down to up with 5 minutes left to play.
Wow.
We weren't able to complete the mission, but we practiced, okay, if this isn't working, we got to go a certain way.
Okay.
So
yeah, that was part of your practice game plan, pre-game.
Preparation.
Hey, team, if we're here, get ready, because we're going to think about flipping this like this.
If you don't prepare to win, and I mean maximum preparation,
right,
be prepared to lose.
Love that.
You have to prepare to win.
That's so true in sales as well.
Absolutely.
You got to go into the attitude with it. Like, I'm going to be so prepared to win. Otherwise, in sales, what most people do, most companies don't actually buy anything. We call it status quo. They just sit right where they are. So that's totally true. You have to go in ready to win.
When you're practicing to be successful, practice preparing, thinking, analyzing. Just, have a think tank with your team.
Yeah.
That's where the team comes in.
I love it.
That's where you got to ask for advice if you don't know something. Many of us get in our own skin and get in our own feelings and are afraid to ask for help. Not me. I'm not afraid to ask for help. I'll ask for help in a second. Whether I'm the CEO, the head coach, the dustpan person, ask for help when you need it. You'll be surprised how many times have people told you no when you ask for help and have sincerity with it.
Almost never.
Yeah. People want to help.
Yeah.
People want to help you. Just ask. I promise you, if you ask for help, someone's going to go out of their way and they're going to help you reach your goals.
Well, let's finish on something fun.
Let's do it.
One of the things I love to ask my guests is, do you have any charities that you support? Any organizations that our listeners can donate to?
Absolutely.
And I'd like to, and if you have those, I'd love to hear, why you chose them and some things like that.
I'm very passionate about philanthropy and giving back. And for those of you that are listening, I support the Food Bank of Rhode Island, the Amos House, homeless, single parents, foster children, because all of those impacted my life. I wouldn't be here today if those organizations didn't feed me, clothe me, house me. So I'm greatly appreciative to what they did to help change my life, to put me in this seat, to ask you for your support and your help to give to those, just not in the state of Rhode Island, but across the country and across the world, to give back to people that don't have the opportunity to turn lights on and eat. I appreciate it, and thank you.